Today we are going to learn about 5 ways to build our IT product wisely. So these 5 ways are divided into 5 episodes, which is also available on Spotify and Google Podcasts. And you can also download an ebook version of it from our website. So let's see what are these 5 strategies or 5 ways. First strategy being the feature analysis. It would help you in your feature selection process and the science behind it. Then comes research and planning, which is a very crucial aspect of these strategies. After that, it is strategy 3, which is selection of tech and the competition. And then we have our security and architecture. And last but not the least, strategy number 5, which is scalability and versioning. This is Rohan Gidhani, IT consultant and researcher, your personal Sherlock Holmes. So let's start with our today's session, which is strategy number 1, feature analysis. So when we talk of this term feature analysis, what do we exactly mean by it? I had a client whose product was being developed for like 4 consecutive years, and at the end of that period, they do not had any MVP ready. MVP is minimal viable product required to go to the market. So there is a term in science known as science of availability, and also reason for the failure of the product of my client's product, which was developed. So that we tend to rely on the knowledge of the developers and the knowledge we have, and we make an assumption on that, and then we select our features, which is not the right or the entire truth. We need to have and make deliberate research on it, why we are selecting a particular feature and what is the logic behind it. Do we do it even align our product alignment and story, because that's how user would be perceiving your product, what you're presenting them. And sometimes we tend to overdo on our product. We try to implement so many things at once, and due to that, we create new obstacles and problems, and the result is that you have never ever reached the market. So this is feature analysis, and this particular strategy is divided into 3 steps, which we will be discussing. Step 1 being that check and see what suits your product. So on your screen, as you are seeing, there are multiple questions for 2 options available. You can ask yourself by selection of the feature, like, is this even necessary? Do we have adequate resources and time for it? Or is it mandatory and we have to have it? Because always, you would be presented with multiple features, both from internal and external stakeholders. And it can be overwhelming to select a particular set of features that we only have to develop these features, but this is very necessary. You need to define your core features, that this is something which defines the product, and that would really help you in the long run, because feature list would never end, and it is important to select like what not to do in spite of what to do. So that's becomes the step 1, to check and see what suits your product, because user would be seeing what you are presenting them. There is a particular exception to this particular step, like in the COVID-19, online education came up and there were so many investors, so many products on it, and if you are in the education market, you have to have online education platform as well to penetrate the market, and then you can upsell your product. That's a particular exception to it, and that is step 1. Talking about step 2, which is analyzing the market in the product. So when you see on your screen, focus on product number A. We will be talking about this in the step 3 as well. So right now in today's market, there are so many alternates available, third-party libraries available, which are exactly matching your features, and you can use them directly integrate in your product, and it could substantially save your time and resources and go-to-market strategy, and you can directly integrate it. I have seen companies who try to develop everything from scratch, which is not required until unless you have a specific thing which needs to be developed, and it would save up your time and resources. So that is step number 2, and as you see in the diagram, which is product A. I am trying to build up a story here. So see product A, how it is matching 100% to our features. So if you see, product A is implementable and comprises this step. We have done an analysis that how much products are available and what are the alternates available, and how is the exactness and similarities between them. Let's come to step 3. Step 3 is a pros and cons analysis. So if you see the diagram now, you see the cons of product A, which is like it is recurring and costly, and it does not have a good UX. And you can see from the diagram that product A was a costly affair, but it was not looking like that in step 2. So that's a problem we are making in our current environment. We tend to do these mistakes. These are honest mistakes, and until unless you are doing a proper research. So, step 3 tries to do a pros and cons analysis on the feature and the product list you have. So, you would have an exact variety and listing of your features, of what to implement, what not to implement. And even if you are matching just 50% of the requirement, that's enough. For me, that's enough because you still have say 50% of your time and cost, and you already decrease your go-to-market strategy. What's the harm in it? So always give deliberate attention on feature analysis, and this particular strategy just is telling you about that. Happy learning. See you in the next session. Stay tuned.